MR.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. I'm trusting and praying that you are having a truly terrific Thursday as we have the honor to welcome to our studio Miss Briana. We'll talk to her for a bit. Maybe we'll encourage a chaperone to share with us too, but we'll see. 1 o'clock, we'll get into the discussion about early childhood education as we're on the eve of Good Friday. So join us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. And I'm really, really glad, very, very thankful to sit here. Not just because, I get a chance to enjoy the Easter, but because I'm in the company of some excellent people. And as I look to the ladies in our history who, with a valiant effort, with a great sense of pride and integrity and ethics and a strong work ethic, they demonstrated what our society is as the men journeyed the high seas. And these two wonderful ladies, in particular, Miss Briana, thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I am great. How are you? We have a long weekend, so I'm excited.
A long weekend, camping Bacchus, maybe some fish tea.
Yeah.
Oh, you asking what I'm doing? Yeah, okay. It's that wonderful, this amazing laughter that brings joy and light to the room that you enter. And what is it like being this teen? I want to talk more about you if you can. And of course, if you join us on YouTube, Facebook, you'll see her chaperone from the Lions Club, Miss Angela. Good afternoon, Mom. I'm just going to say hello to you. Welcome. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you for having us.
And I just wanted to let our puppet know this is what I think Lions represent in terms of its commitment to the community, its continued sort of positioning to ensure that our young, in particular, whether it's the Lions Pool in the early days, whether it's through the Lions, Eye Center, and its other programming from the Christmas gifts for our children, to ensure that the adults are always drawn alongside of our younger adults, nurturing, protecting, and providing. So as the chaperone, just want to welcome Miss Angela. So thank you very much, Mom.
Thank you for having me.
But Miss Briana, I mean, I would have tried to wear a crown, but I don't think I have the hair for it. Maybe, I don't know.
You can wear the crown.
I can wear the crown?
After.
Maybe Susan will put it on and it'll be a crown of thorns, but we'll see. But as sort of a teen ambassador and as Miss Teen, you have a very demanding schedule. We had to go through all sorts of hoops to be able to schedule to come in here. So, what is that like? What is it, and is it like what you thought it would be?
Well, I knew it was going to be... Well, it's not challenging, but it's definitely like a jam-packed schedule.
Very demanding, huh?
Yes, but I enjoy it, because I'm always on the go. I'm always doing stuff, always giving back. Well, I work part-time at DART, so I do that 3 times a week, plus Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then the weekends I fit in my Miss Teen duties. So I wouldn't say it's like, it's not that bad, but it's reasonable and it's a good schedule.
I guess it reminds us, whether we're 18 or 81, how important it is to manage your time.
Yes.
To be productive, but in our endeavors to make sure that we're thinking, to be pensive. You're involved in a lot. If it's okay through you, maybe tell our listeners a little bit about you. Okay, I said you're 18, they probably figured that out because you're not 81.
I actually turned 19 on Thursday.
Last week?
Yes, I'm 19 now.
Wow. It's interesting how we say that. Every time I hear somebody's age comes up, right? I think back to George Carlin, they're turning, as if it's like, going from green to ripe, or maybe from ripe to turning, and they hit. So you turn 18 to 19. Clock rolls over. Well, happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
Share some birthday cake later, okay? I want chocolate.
You missed some yesterday, actually. The place gave me some.
Yeah? Not good. I mean, for me anyway. All right, so you're 19, and then next year you'll be 20, because I'm 4'11". That is the laughter that shows a person who loves life and who is such a giving spirit. And then tell us about you. I know that you're involved with a lot, even your charitable endeavors, but would you help us through you to appreciate how important it is, despite what office we occupy, what age we may be, what we're experiencing, that we have to give, and give willingly and lovingly. That's about you.
So me, outside of Miss Teen, I attend Cayman Islands Baptist Church, where I am a youth influencer, and that's basically, well, we have youth group on Friday nights, so I'm a youth leader for the younger kids. I also sing and play the bass guitar for the worship and praise band on Sundays. I'm a certified open water PADI diver. I learned how to dive in 2020 through CCMI. I got a scholarship, the Yelk Scholarship. I love to sing. I love to spend time with my family, my friends. I love to give back. I like to be involved.
It's almost like me. I mean, except the singing part. Well, I love to sing. The difference between us is that you actually sound good. I've been in the congregation and heard you singing, and you are amazing. I mean, Miss Lisa does well, but you're in the back there and lighting up the stage. I think that's why Pastor Randall comes in. He feels so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you. And you're most welcome, but thank you. And the idea that you scuba dive, and some of us do that because we're told, well, it's part of the, an important part of a tourism product. Some of us do it because the underwater world is just so refreshing.
It is.
It reminds you. What's your favorite part about diving?
I haven't done it in a while, but I would have to say my favorite part about diving, I really enjoy night dives. When you see you see the bioluminescence and stuff, and you just wave your hand through the water, and you just see the water glowing, and you see all of the nocturnal animals. So you see like a lot of sea urchins, a lot of nurse sharks, reef sharks, just sitting. You just see all the little creatures glowing and stuff.
I wonder if this is what the Speaker of the House meant when he said the nocturnal activities. I see those too, but that's from the legislative assembly. I won't try that. No, my favorite part about diving is coming back to the boat safely. That's great.
I was scared at first though, because before I started, I had a fear of sharks. Yeah. Because Jaws, you like watch all those movies and you're like, oh gosh, Yeah. But then one day it was a regular day dive, and there was this baby nurse shark, and it was the cutest little thing ever. It swam up to me.
Did you pick him up and hold him, pet him?
No, he just swam up to me. He was just there. He was right beside me, and I was like, oh gosh. So I just started rubbing him out, or I don't know if it was he or she just rubbing. It was cute. So I'm not scared of them anymore.
No?
No.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Now, for those who don't dive, diving in the night versus the day, not only is perhaps more beautiful at night, but it's different.
It is.
It is. For me, it's kind of a little bit more unnerving because it's dark and you don't know if your friend next to you is gonna. Not just kidding.
a lot of jellyfish. Yeah. Like a lot. I went to Little Cayman and I did a night dive there, and geez, You couldn't see because all we were on the surface first. Then we had to go down. But when you're on the surface, all you see is a bunch of jellyfish, and you're getting sting, but it's not like a bad sting, so it wasn't that bad. You have to have a flashlight too, or else you can't see.
You can't see it. Feel the way in the dark. Huh? No, and that's the thing. I think it's Easter, and many of us are going to be very, very prayerful. Many of us are going to be camping or spending times, hopefully in the back, little Cayman. I would almost say, if you're not from West Bay, don't be a bacchus, but I don't say that. But it's that time to be near the water. I mean, Pastor Good saying one time that was when he felt most connected. And the idea that you in the water, 70% of the world, perhaps with the dredging, maybe 90% is covered by water now. And yet we don't immerse, literally ourselves in it.
I agree.
Through baptism or by, diving. So when we come back from the break, let's talk more about you and your Reina, your future endeavors, some of the perhaps undertakings that you might want to pursue, those that you've committed to already.
Okay.
And who knows, I mean, Miss Angela, just her intellect here alone has made me feel much more intelligent. So I may come back and I might be like Einstein. Who knows? All right, join us after the break.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore family event is back. This Easter Saturday, April 8th, hop down to the Bayshore Mall in Georgetown from 4 to 6 p.m. for sweet treats including popcorn, snow cones, and cotton candy. Don't miss the Easter bunnies, and there's even a kid scavenger hunt with chocolate prizes, plus face painting and musical entertainment. The event is free, and there's free parking behind the mall for parents too. Easter at Bayshore is back. Visit KirkFreeport.com for more information. Happy Easter from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. Become a member today. With 6 flexible life cycle funds, we help you plan for financial security in retirement. We keep our members informed with the plan's performance through quarterly fund fact sheets. We have an all-in expense ratio of 0.75%, over 16,000 members, and 337 million CI dollars in assets under management. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. Become a member today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And it's truly a pleasure that Miss Teen, Miss Briana would allow us to be able to schedule some time and talk to her and hopefully through her as we go into Easter in particular, that we're speaking to our parents, that as they spend time with their children, that there'll be that renewed connection, that desire to appreciate that, today you're holding the 1 month old, and tomorrow you're saying, hey, have a good time at university because they're now 20 or 18. And thanks to Miss Angela as part of the Lions Club for coming along and being a chaperone, and through you to remind us as adults that we need to be there for our youth, to protect and to provide, to nurture and to ensure, But as we were going through the break, I wanted you to share as much as you wish, Miss Briana, and hopefully through you, be encouraged. And I joke and say that as much as we sin, we should actually pray more and ask for forgiveness. So I'll be the biggest sinner in the house and pray the most. But the scripture says, let them not despise you because of your youth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm still young, so hopefully they don't despise me. But tell me why. Tell me, sweet.
Okay. So I know I promised that when I win Miss Teen that I would have some projects.
Mm-hmm.
I am still in the works of my non-profit organization, Bree Cares, which will be launching very, very soon before the pageant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I'm basically just going to be giving away personal items to girls who are in need. I think it's very important that girls have the opportunity to at least have some personal item for themselves, because not everyone has. Also, I'm planning a Queen's walk. So it's like a walk run, but with queens. So any past, present, future queens, or anyone who believes they're a queen in general, they're welcome to come. More information will be out about that soon. But those are two things that are in the works and will be.
Well, we want to help you to promote it and partner with you as best as we can. And there are many of us, as brothers and husbands and as fathers and sons, who have queens in our lives. We can come out and support and draw alongside. And I like when you're ready and if you wish, but the idea of young ladies having an older lady that's closer in age in a sense, but a little bit more mature, to talk to her about things, to help her beyond what she may learn from the mother or the grandmother, the aunt or the school teacher. And I saw a piece way back when and didn't realize that in some parts of the world, access to those items and like are almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And discussions because of religion or societal expectations, and we take for granted so much.
Yeah.
So I commend you for having that compassion and that forthrightness.
Thank you.
Bree Cares, man.
Bree Cares.
It's all in the name. Did you know that you wanted to be a part of pageantry, the Miss Teen in particular?
I've been going to the Miss Teen pageants for as long as I can remember. My mom always used to take me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I always said that I was going to do Miss Teen. I was originally supposed to enter when I was 17, but I was like, I don't think, not this year at least. So I entered when I was 18 years old. I love pageantry. My mom, she's a big part of it, and I guess she kind of groomed me for it, and she didn't force me, but I love it in general. I think it's a great program for girls. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot of new skills. While I was in the Miss Teen pageant as a contestant, I learned how to do my hair, my makeup. I learned proper etiquette. I learned how to public speak. I mean, I was shy, but I wasn't that shy. But now I could say that I'm most comfortably speaking out in public than I used to. So I definitely think it is a very good program, and it is something that I knew I wanted to do. And
it's not maybe because it's probably, at least if I don't think I'm mistaken, the Miss Teen is organized by Lions and Leos. It's probably the oldest running, consistent, consecutive pageantry. But the teaching, I think as we watch the evolution of pageantry, and I can speak to what is transpiring now on the world stage. I'll leave that for now. But the confidence that you speak to, the notion that you build in camaraderie with the other contestants. It's not just a competition, but it's some friendships.
It is, yes. I still talk to all of the girls that I competed with. I mean, we have a little bond, little sisterhood, and I really, and I'm happy that we're still close and that we could be friends outside of the pageant. So that's something that I got through it.
And this is a small community, in the Cayman context, but even as pageantry, it is still small. And the platform, for want of a better word, allows you to make an impact. Yes. And there may be one person, it may be 1 billion, but even one person who is positively impacted is a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Where would you like this to take you? Where would you like life to take you? Where would you like to take yourself in life?
So,
from the mind.
Once you become Miss Teen, you get a great prize, and that prize is a $54,000 scholarship from government, which I received, and I'm so very, very thankful for. So with that scholarship, I think this year I am leaving in August, September to go abroad in the UK and study geography. So I want to do something in the geography field or anything in like the environmental field. It's something that I enjoy and it was one of my best subjects in school. I'm very passionate about it. So yes,
it's a subject that can take you many places, from aviation, to land planning, urban development, to all sorts of things.
I'm a teacher.
Even an educator. Wasn't my favorite subject. But and I think it was the way it was presented. I keep looking back to how we teach and learn. But I'm glad you shared that, because it doesn't seem like there are a lot of women that gravitate towards that field and what that field can lead to later on in terms of analysis of urban areas and the like.
Yes, sir.
You've always gravitated to that because it's your favorite subject, one of your better subjects, or what?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a hairdresser. I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be a bunch of things. But
awesome.
I mean, as I grew older, I had to figure out what I wanted to do, and every time it would just come back to anything in environment, geography. So
yeah. And who knows? I mean, your first degree in geography, you may pursue a degree in law or economics or something else, and they gel together. You may end up in education. That skill set and experience only gives you, a greater command of being able to instruct. So whether it's before a jury in court, whether it's even more importantly, a class of young minds, and you influence them in a positive way. You bring the enthusiasm, the love, and you nurture.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. I want to maybe ask of you, because we see where in our community now, and just even limited to the Cayman conversation, from the political stuff that transpires behind the scenes to the goings and comings of our students in school and all the other things. As you wish, and with the greatest of respect, what are some of the things that you think as a society, A, we're ignoring, B, we're unaware of, or we acknowledge that they're there, we know they're there, but boy, we're not touching them? Anything in that nature that you'd want to speak to? Because I think in saying that, it's because I think that we are sometimes consciously blind to the obvious, because it could, maybe offend and inflame certain things, and I don't want to get into that now. And yet, our young people share so much if we only listen and provide them a space to honestly talk. I've learned some things recently, not just words that I didn't know, but behaviors. And then you ask others who know, oh yeah, that's commonplace, but it's not in the media. Oh no, it's over here. And yet we go through thinking we know, and we have no clue. Anything like that you would want to share, if you wish. And I only again ask because I'm hoping that this weekend, for everything that we're doing, that as we come together as family and friends, that we'll have some honest discussions about the things that are real, and not just the superficial, not just the headlines, not just the stupidity from some despot somewhere who is trying to position. I can be very serious in my love for life.
I would only say bullying, because that's something that I went through, and I think that it is something that is still occurring through, not just in schools, but in anywhere. And it is something that needs to be addressed. I mean, that was, anti-body shaming was my platform throughout Miss Teen, and bullying, just talking about someone in general, about how they look. I mean, it's really, it's disturbing, and it's just the thought of it. I mean, I'm fully against it, and it is something that we need to do. We need to get active on. When you bully, I mean, a lot of people, they try to commit suicide, and that is something here in the Cayman Islands that needs to be addressed also. So those are the two things.
All right, but when we come back from the break, if you wish, we talk about more, and I appreciate you sharing that, because the idea of body shaming, some of us don't even understand what it is, don't even know. It may be fairly new to us. We may think we have a perspective. And I'll ask you something through the break, if you wish, when we come back. And we're going to be at the beach at Barkas, Cayman Kai, hopefully over in the back in Little Cayman as well. And some of us are going to be very, very conscious that for the last 6 months we've been exercising and got that Easter body health, whatever. Other than go, man, you see that a lot of food getting in the front. You see where it is. And without consciously considering anything, then there are those who are going to wonder, how do they look? Are they comfortable literally in their skins, right? Is it just that? Is it more? Could we talk a little bit about body shaming when we come back? All right. And these are the things that are impacting young people. Please join us after the break.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce. All piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
CUC reminds you that you can pay your electrical bill online. Go to www.cuc-cayman.com and click on the Quick Pay tab. No sign-up required. It's as easy as flicking a switch.
Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt@valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks too to Miss Briana, Reina, Miss Teen, and the chaperone from the Lions Club, the deputy co-chair, Miss Angela, for ensuring that we have a safe and very accommodating discussion. So, Miss Briana, forgive me, I was asking during the break, but given the time and recognizing that I'm so not just inspired by our young people, and to see through you the willingness, the confidence, the ability to stand in the gap and to encourage, but also through your encouragement to actually physically do. Now the pageant is coming up, very short order. Maybe I should use this time wise and ask you, when is it? How do we be a part of it? Can I qualify? I mean, I'm just checking. Is it too late for me?
So the pageant is actually happening in August 19th, and I am encouraging girls from ages 15 to 18 to apply. We have extended the deadline until April the 15th. This is a great opportunity. You do not want to miss it. Some things you can expect as a contestant. It'll be good. It'll be a fun summer. You have a lot of catwalk training, Toastmasters, public speaking. You have your etiquette training. You have your sashing ceremony. You get to go to the BRAC, do the cultural tour. You have the motorcade. You have a lot of exciting things, and it is a great program. And I honestly think that each and every one of you girls should apply before April the 15th.
The age, because I think I just missed it. I'm no longer in my teens. What's the age again?
15 to 18 years old.
Right. And there's that fantastic scholarship as you referenced. But something that, and I'm ask you to guide you to make sure, as I look at it, we're seeing the contestants come in and recognizing that it's about them giving it all and not just being empowered, but getting a lot. The confidence, the poise, the self-esteem, the ability that they can relate to others and see, listen, your issues are big, but you're not the only one, but they're not overwhelming because you have support. So all of our young ladies, irrespective of how they may look at themselves, they should see that we see them, in even a better light. So encourage them all to come out, right?
Yes.
Could be good fun. What was your most favorite part about not just being in the pageant, but the process as you get up to, what they say, football game day? I mean, there's the night, but there's all the other stuff that goes on leading up to that, all the training. What was your favorite part?
My favorite part, I would have to say the runway training. I love to, I've just recently discovered that I enjoy modeling. So I would say that's something that I really, really enjoyed. I think just 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to be in New York Fashion Week. So that is something that's very,
saw the
very...
video?
That is something that's very, very exciting. Also, last week, I was in Cayman Islands Fashion Week. So those are great, great opportunities. I met some celebrities,
you saw my nephew. I mean, he's a celebrity.
Really?
Yeah. I'll tell you, listen, I'll interrupt you for a second because if you haven't tried, you call it catwalk training, that runway training, right? I don't know about other people, but there's probably a perception. You walk this way and you move your hips that way and you put your legs in front. And it seems easy because we all walk usually 1 foot in front of the other.
We basically model every day. We just don't know.
We just don't know.
Despite stats.
Yeah. And the confidence. So I asked him for permission, except I can't tell his name, right? George. But I won't say his name, right? And for some reason, he had to do something. And a friend, she suggested, come do this thing. So as he was making the presentation, he realized how doing the catwalk training, they call it something else, it helped him that as he got in front of the board, that his poise, his stance was very similar to you if you were doing martial arts or boxing or whichever. And he came, and being of the stature that I am, 6'8", 250 pounds, he's probably not as tall as me, but he filled the room because of that. And that's what I'm glad you shared that. We get so much from the presence of the stage and the confidence. So the runway training alone. I
don't know.
Let's try it. Angela?
Yes, you guys should try it. I mean, whenever I'm on the runway, I feel like I'm in a different world. I just love it. I mean, you just in the zone and you just owning it. You obviously have to care what people think, but you have to just make sure you model the clothes as best as you can, have all the confidence in the world, and just be yourself. And
is it similar to being in church and singing in a choir?
It is. Well, I must say it is kind of, but not really. Because of modeling, because before I started Miss Teen, I was very, very nervous to sing in front of crowds because I never, ever used to sing in front of crowds. But because I started the whole modeling thing, when I go and sing at church, I'm not as afraid.
Not as conscious, right?
Yes, I'm not, and I'm not nervous at all.
And it shows him.
It does?
Yeah. One Friday night youth group, you were sharing and you were doing, and it's just, other than a few of us older folks, which is all younger people, and you were comfortable, right? But you could see, but And the reason why I say that as parents, we're in church, we're in Lions, we're in a PTA. Let's see how all these things can come together to build what we keep talking about, the whole child. And if you're in pageantry, we may have a perception. And if that thing that we think isn't positive, it's probably because we are not positively engaged to ensure that it's a good thing. And I think in saying that to you, as I was thinking about the discussion, I'm hoping that as we come into this weekend, that we prayerfully assemble with our families and, enjoy the fish tea, the fried fish fritters. My brother's making some. Okay. My brothers, man, they make the best fish tea. And we talk and we encourage. August, September, you're going to be in the UK, all right? You're going to have to enjoy the national dish, the curry, and the like. And what you've taken from here, you serve as an ambassador. And when you come back, you're an invaluable contributor to our community. All, I think, thanks to the pageant, giving you that sense of presence. So what do you want to say to our young ladies in particular, those 15 to 18, but also to their parents about, coming up, checking it out, see what it's like for them?
Just come, see what it's about. It is a great program for young girls. Your children, they'll have a great opportunity. They'll learn a lot about themselves. They'll learn a lot about others. They'll have a lot of opportunities. And even if they don't win the title of Miss Teen, they would have gained a lot.
Indeed.
A lot of things. So definitely join.
Right. Now, I know, Miss Angela, you shared, as you always do, it's about, the pageant and, the Reina Miss Teen. But if you wish to share anything as an invitation to listeners, I would be honored to offer you the opportunity. Yes, Mark? No, just talk right ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the young girls will hear Briana and definitely be a part of a wonderful pageant like Miss Teen. Just the opportunities that are available, and of course the scholarship.
Yeah.
I think, and just it helps to build confidence. I see how Briana has grown. She's quite engaging. She's marketable, intelligent, and her communication has just improved a whole lot. And I can see all the good things that she's gained from this opportunity, and young people can do that as well, young girls.
And I'm glad you shared that, because those are almost overnight, sort of very immediate, noticeable things. They're always there. It's for us as the adults to tap into nurture, to ensure that we stand in front to protect, but we also stand side by side to show up. But sometimes behind to say, hey, it's okay, you can do this. We're here for you. And I'm kind of in a state where I feel that too many of us as adults don't stand in the gap. We say, but it's empty. Our hands and our hearts are not clean. And when I look to young ladies in particular like you, or young people like you, it's encouraging. It makes me want to do more, do better. And I want to say thanks. Thank you to you and to the young people like you are. Keep us straight, keep us encouraged, but keep pressing on. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I want you to enjoy your Easter. Once
well.
again, if you wish to share, closing thoughts or relative to the pageant, remind us of some of the key dates. I know the 15th was referenced, not just because it's tagged to us.
Well, the deadline is April 15th, so please get your applications in. It is for girls ages 15 to 18, and it is an opportunity you will not regret.
Well, 15 to 18-year-olds, young ladies.
You have to be 18 before the pageant. So yes, 18 before the pageant.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I knew that, but because that's why I'm no longer 18. I just missed it. But thank you very much, and thanks again to the Lions, the Leos, Miss Angela, to you, and all of your fellow service members.
Pleasure.
All right, we're gonna go to the news, and when we come back, we're gonna focus on education. Speaking to our youth, we have the excellent company of Miss Nicola Williams together with Reina Jefferson, and maybe through them, I can see if my reading has paid off. Join us after the break.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise him, praise him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite hand. Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite hand.
Praise time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him.
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it.
Radio Cayman maintain the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman maintaining the innovation.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman is currently experiencing issues with their systems and is unable to provide customer receipts or look into customer queries. Persons who are paying by check may still drop off their applications. An update will be provided once the system is back online. In international news, Buckingham Palace has said that it is cooperating with an independent study exploring the relationship between the British monarchy and the slave trade in the 17th and 18th centuries. The palace said King Charles takes the issue profoundly seriously. The research is being carried out by the University of Manchester with historic royal palaces. Buckingham Palace is granting researchers full access to the royal archives and the royal collection. The study is expected to be completed in 2026. Both the King and the Prince of Wales have previously expressed their personal sorrow at the suffering caused by the slave trade. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has filed election paperwork to run for U.S. president in 2024 as a Democrat. The 69-year-old is the son of assassinated Senator Robert F. Kennedy and nephew of President John F. Kennedy. The Environmental Lawyers Campaign treasurer, John E. Sullivan, confirmed the filing on Wednesday. Mr. Kennedy is an outspoken anti-vaccine campaigner. Instagram removed his account in 2021 for repeatedly sharing debunked claims, the company said. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July, 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the fifth child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott worked the seas for over 52 years, a career which saw him span the global currents. In 1953, he joined his first ship, the Beretta, a local cargo vessel, signing on as deck boy, working his way up to bosun. In 1955, he joined National Bulk Carriers, working his way up to able-bodied seaman. In 1959, he signed on the Ore Meteor to go to Marine School in New York, attaining a third mate's license. He joined the Bulk Petrel as third officer, where during one voyage he was solely responsible for using Morse lamp signaling to save a sister ship which had run aground. He continued to flourish and attained second mate, chief mate, master mariner, and radio operator licenses. In October of 1969, he took a job on oil exploration ships as a captain in Brazil. Captain Scott would later move from Brazil, where he spent the next 20 years piloting cruise ships and tankers in Grand Cayman.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I think it's only fitting, almost as if we planned it that way, to be able to, for my sort of presence of mind as we go into the Easter weekend with all it means and all that we will be doing. It's for me an opportunity for families to come together, and as there be fellowship and talking, thinking hopefully it'll be something productive that come Monday for those who may have to go back to work despite it being Easter Monday or Tuesday, or even those who have the week off, that will resonate, and to have had our first discussion with the Reina Miss Teen, and now to be able to focus on our children through early childhood education. One of the ladies with great deference to all of our educators, Miss Reina Jefferson, you've been a champion for early childhood. I was speaking to someone earlier, and this person is perhaps a little bit my senior. I won't say they're much older. I won't say that at all. But he shared that, in a sense, you were a pioneer. In the true sense of the word, that sadly, his recollection as he was talking and thinking in recent times, we're ahead of our time, we're saying something, but it's not resonating, and he wonders, is it because of the person that's saying it? Is it the timing? And more than likely, people are not receptive because they're not aware of it. They don't see the importance. You were a visionary, he said, pioneer. And sadly, we didn't take it on board, but maybe we are now.
We are.
We are.
Lots of things are changing. I'm very, very pleased to be here to once again be an advocate for our youngest members of society. Mm-hmm. They're not going to always be very young. Our young children will grow up and see and know how we've treated them.
Right.
And it's so important that we understand from the very beginning of life, very beginning of once children come into our circles, that we take care of them, that we do all that we can for them, that we cherish them, we help them, we love them, we admire what they are and who they are and what we need to do for them.
Yes, well.
And I'm really grateful for your commentary already, but I started in John A. Cumber Primary School, and the first students I had, they were 8-year-olds. And it was a difficult time because at that time, many of our mothers began to work out of the home. And so out of 26 children at the beginning of my tenure for as a teacher, 13 of the children were, out of 26, were absent.
Yeah.
So I had to find out how, why, where, when will I have these children in my classroom? So the first thing I think I really became was a social worker.
Almost a surrogate mother.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But I really had to find the children and explain to the parents that it was so important for them to be at school on time. I'm their teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that that was my calling at the very beginning of my teaching career, do all that I can in order for them to learn and to thrive.
Yeah. And certainly, as we had this discussion, we're joined by the current president of the Cayman Early Childhood Association, Ms. Nicola Williams, and our listeners who are engaged, and they may ask, well, why this discussion? Well, I'm honored that I can have, and hopefully it continues for a while, a fair degree of flexibility to invite guests, to plan the program, and to prepare. And consciously, I'm grateful that you both accepted the invitation to return. But I want to do it consciously because this weekend, a lot is going to transpire. My prayer is that it's going to be safe. We'll have lots of fun. I would not encourage people to overeat or overindulge in anything, but we're going to do that. But let's be safe and sensible and hopefully civil. And as we're doing that, maybe we will consciously make some time. I've got friends who have very newborns and first-time parents, and they're all anxious and excited and as nervous as can be. And then we got friends who have, oh, this is child number 5, and oh, that's a sewage plant. That's no big deal. Let's just make him strong. We see the first child versus the 5th child, the difference, but the love is still there. So in saying that, Ms. Nicola, the idea that we're learning increasingly through research what is happening. I think back to what I shared at the outset relative to Miss Reina. I remember some of the reports of children, not me, because I wasn't that age, sadly. I am older than 25. Running through the cupboards in the John Cayman Primary School, the new extension, and having fun. And she's there laughing and bouncing and youthful and energetic and teaching. Now, fast forward to today, to what extent have we truly advanced in the Cayman context for all the Caymanian children to appreciate that there's a skill set that we can develop, but are we also doing things that impact them? And maybe we'll unpack some of that as we have this discussion. But your initial thoughts, Ms. Nicola?
Well, the thing about early childhood, it's quite interesting. And as Ms. Reina was saying, as children started to enter large group care in greater percentages over the last sort of 20 or 30 years, initially early childhood was very much on a global level in many countries more the oversight was from ministries of social development or ministries of community and social services and so on. But at the same time as young children started entering large group care in larger numbers, and the same time as ministries of education were concerned about achievement and so on, ministries of education sort of started to take over early childhood more. And it was interesting that Ms. Reina started by saying she was a social worker as well, because early childhood is unique in that way. It's multi-sectoral. So you've got health, social services, and education. In many countries, the Ministry of Education took over. And like I said, it was the same time as worries about achievement. And so the idea was, let's take what they need to know in grade 1 and 2 and let's push it down onto younger children. And the intentions were good. Let's give them a boost. Let's give them a head start. It'll be wonderful. We have them here. And so we've tried it for, about 30 years. And we've learned that while our intentions were good, it's too much too soon. And the children are too young for sort of more narrowly defined sort of pre-academic skills. And even the teaching methods and type of activities that they're engaged in are not appropriate for their age group. And Ms. Reina was very influenced by National Association for the Education of Young Children, NACY, in starting our association. And in 1989, they put out their statement on developmentally appropriate practice, which was hugely influential in the field.
I want respectfully to ask both of you as educators and as women particularly to guide me, because I don't shy away from taking the stand for saying what I think, but I want to say it from a considered, respectful perspective. I recognize that comments can be construed as political from the elected sense, political from whatever the version, but it's not intended. When I say that, I honestly believe more now than I've always believed back then that the pillars are simple: education and healthcare. And when I look at the Cayman context, our governments to date commit significant funds to quote-unquote education, from the buildings to the resources to all the things. Our private sector, whether it's because it's good PR, whether they're genuinely committed to it, whether they're obligated, whatever the reason, money in education through scholarships and other training and development. But is there value for money? Is it beneficial? So in saying that, if it offends some political, whether it's a capital or a small p, that's fine. Call me and we can talk about it. I will either apologize or I say, nope, you know what? You should be offended but it's all about working together. That's my sort of motive and my impetus for inspiring a discussion as we talk about that investment in a young child. But there are a couple of things that I wrote down and formulate my thoughts. Politicians, we heard them, and I'll just use the U.S., no child left behind. Yeah. And that was championed even here. I remember one politician speaking to it, and I go, well, what does that mean? Yeah. Really, what does that mean? Oh, we're going to give every child, but what does it mean? And then we have the Head Start program, and we got iterations of it here in the Cayman context. But the socioeconomic implications of the mothers going to work, and what does that mean? Brings you back to the social worker, Ms. Reina. Because if that mother is working to pay bills for whatever reason, not that the father is or isn't there, but who's nurturing the child, and where is that partnership, and what has been the implications of that on the child now, who is 25, 35, 40 years later, and that child's child. And are we seeing, what is it they say? Oh, the chickens come home to roost. Ms. Reina, I mean, it's all political. We got more politics in the PTA and in the church pew that we have in the Legislative Assembly. But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
We need to just slow down, think about our children. Okay. Think about their future. Think about what is impacting them right now as far as their learning. One of the things that parents can do all the time is to nurture their children, number one, by taking good care of them, making sure that their general needs are met. And also that we take time to do things, such very simple things, like, for example, read to your child, talk to your child, sing to your child, help them to learn words that are good words that will help them in their playing, in their thinking, and in their learning. We don't have to be rocket scientists to formulate good formulas, you know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
One of the main things is that take good care of your child. No child should in our society be left to not be cared for properly,
exactly.
etc.
Yeah.
So we need to just
stand
back and take care of them.
Ms. Nicola, as Ms. Reina shared out, when you talk about talking, reading to your child, I wonder to what extent we appreciate how soon that should start. I recall someone sharing that there was some study, presumably I never looked at it, I took the person, as being credible, and relaying a story that presumably was shared by some lady who was working in an overseas office and had a particular greeting in her language while she was expecting, and then when she went back to her home country, the child recognized that foreign language. I employed that similar technique with one of my children, trying to sing the national song, and discovered that, at least to my mind, without any empirical data, that she actually recognized my voice and the song. Yeah. Not that it was a good version of it, but so speaking to your child even from the womb, what you sort of introducing, I don't want to say exposing, I don't like that word, the child too. What are you watching on TV? What are you feeling? Where are you going? Not just what you're putting into your body by what you eat and drink, but what else are you consuming around you? The noises, the voices, the language. What is and how is that impacting the child?
It's such a good question, because I think the number one thing we need to do is recognize how competent and capable young children are at promoting their own learning and growth and development, and taking a little step back. Yes, we have to guide them and support them and ensure that they're safe and healthy, but also where their learning is concerned, to trust their extraordinary capacity for learning. I mean, to get from a newborn to a 5-year-old is an incredible accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
We take it for granted. Oh, they were a newborn and now they're a 5-year-old. But to be able to, you will never learn more in the rest of your life than you will in the first 5 years. And children are born into this world very capable of doing what they need to do and seeking out what they need to promote their own development. You're talking about in the womb, incredible studies on newborn babies. When they're first born, they recognize, even just from the sounds they heard in the womb, they know their mother's voice over anyone else's voice. They know their mother's native language, even spoken by someone else, and they prefer it. Studies where you've read, I think one was The Cat in the Hat, and moms read it to their pregnant tummies in the last trimester, and the babies preferred that story over other stories read to them, not even in their mother's voice. So they're quite incredible with their capacity for learning, and we just need to trust that they have two sort of drives, novelty, like they want something new, and familiarity. And we all go through our whole lives with those two. And the familiarity is the bond. Yeah. And then the novelty is the learning and exploring the world. So it's relationship and exploration. And right from birth, they are so motivated and capable of creating those bonds with us and communicating with us what they need, usually through crying. It's certainly at the beginning through crying and movements and gestures. And I've heard people say things like, oh, well, from time to time, what does it matter before 2? They can't remember anything, because most people's first memory is at 3. But it's actually not their first. It's their first memory stored by language, because we're so language dependent. But memories are still stored, but more in a sensory way in the brain. Yeah. And I heard one of my professors likened it to, there's a book in the library, and just because it's misfiled doesn't mean it's not still in the library.
Exactly.
We just access everything so much predominantly by language. So that baby's sense of trust in the world, that the world is a good place, and their sense of well-being stays with them for their entire life.
And this is where hopefully, I recognize honestly that many of us are busy doing something today because we've planned and we're expecting of what will transpire over the next 2 or 4 days or the next week while children are at school. Maybe we're traveling. But I want us to pay attention to this, because I think it could positively impact our space on a personal level, but prayerfully what it would mean for our people. And, as I was sort of preparing and trying to read some of the things, I read this before, I remember it. I think I read this because it's checked on my read list, but I don't remember it. This is a new take. So we keep learning and we keep inspiring and sharing that. I think to a number of things as adults and parents in particular, when we look at our young people, she's 5, he's 2. What does it matter? They're bathed, they're clean, they're safe, all important. But what else? What else are they watching on TV deliberately and unsupervised? What are they watching because we're watching it and we don't realize that, they're absorbing it. It's not just the violence and the nudity, but all the other stuff. So with that, maybe through you, Ms. Reina, a couple of things. We look at the classroom size. And because I think I'm like 99.9999%. They say you can't be 100% sure that what I read is correct. We believed at one point the older child, because it's an older child, needed more space, and the younger child, only needed this little bit of space, when in fact the opposite is true. So when I heard this 30 odd years ago, if not more, that's obvious to me. You're smaller, but you move more, you got more energy. You're bigger, you probably might not want to move about as much, but you can be a little bit more self-disciplined and say, hey, just stay in your seat there. And yet we're not getting that right. We're giving the child, who needs a lot more physical space, whether it's the playground or the classroom, and we're restricting them. And in so doing that, we're also restricting their creativity, their growth, their development, their sense of exploration, their sense of accomplishment.
It's amazing how children grow, what they think. They are very aware of adults around them, what they do and what they say. We have to be very careful, especially here in the Cayman Islands, how we treat our children, in the manner that we speak to them, the ways that we, also try to create for them. Not not just space, but that they feel good about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's their emotions, it's their way of learning to talk and to describe, and they're learning so many things at the very beginning of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very important that all of us realize that what we do for children is very, very important as far as their growth, how they feel about themselves, how they learn to play with one another, and also we can also do a lot of things through reading for them, to them, and creating and helping them to see the world as a big place, but at the same time give them that time where they can play, enjoy, and learn how to share, just simple things. But we need to not do any harm, no matter what it is. No harm done to our children.
Sort of like what we told the physicians as part of their ethos, do no harm. But I wonder to what extent we're unconsciously, and hopefully not consciously, doing that harm by the things that we are allowing our children to either be introduced to or failing to help them to explore. Ms. Nicola?
Well, it's interesting because, technology is talked about a lot, and you have very young children. I even found a picture online that I put in one of my presentations of a parent who had strapped an iPad to the crib, so when the baby woke up, they could just start going again. And it's interesting because when you look at studies of the brain as well, children know the difference between, and we call it driving multiple sensory pathways, when they sit on their mom or their caregiver's lap and their parent reads a story to them, or their caregiver in large group care. There's nothing like that for them that fires off the brain, that promotes learning more than that interaction, because children's learning is integrated, right? They're way too good learners to be, okay, now I'm going to learn about science. Now I'm going to learn social. Every single thing they do is integrated. And even now, a big thing in the preschools is observing children, then documenting their learning experiences, and then you're supposed to tag it to a developmental skill. And every single time I'm saying, well, that's social, emotional, physical, cognitive, like almost every time, because they're too effective as learners to be narrowing their focus in that way. So their social and emotional is so important, and interaction. So the thing with an iPad, it's not interactive.
No, it's one way.
And interaction also it's not predicted. You know what I mean? Like if you're truly in an interaction with an infant, you can't foresee what that's going to look like, because you're responding to them and then they're doing a response. And then, so if Miss Reina and I went for lunch, we don't know how it's going to go, because there's two of us going together. And that's what babies respond so much to, is that interaction. Adults being more responsive to them.
Well, with that, and I'm saying this because I think we're at a very pivotal point in our society. Many of us quietly talk about it, but we don't, maybe because we're fearful of the implications. Ms. Reina, jump in, because you might save me from my comment next.
Well, I'm always really concerned about men in childhood. We are, as far as our Early Childhood Association, we have, I'm not sure how few men join us as females to come in and be in our meetings. They're invited. You are invited, gentlemen. And we would like to see that men become a big part.
All right.
That, as far as our
let me just ask, because I want to come back to all of this. And again, I have no qualms. I mean, it's if we don't consciously do something positive and productive, then we may just stay in the closet and keep quiet, because it's not going to impact anybody. Knowledge isn't of any use, like a good recipe, unless it's shared. So the association is membership. We're talking about the Early Childhood Association and men. Who is eligible? Do you have to be an educator, or do you have to be employed within an institution, or you just have to be alive and have a desire to get involved?
I'll give our opportunity to our president.
Thank you.
Yes.
Madam President?
Well, it's kind of what I think that early childhood around the world is missing an important opportunity. You referred to the Head Start programs, which are actually inspired by a research study called the Perry Preschool Study in the 70s, which was actually disadvantaged children living outside Detroit. And it was an experimental study, a longitudinal study that went 40 years. And it was incredible what they found. And they're the first to start that economics, like economists looking at early childhood and investment in early childhood.
Economics,
and the interesting thing was, people are looking at the success. It was 2 years. So the 144 children were randomly assigned to two groups. One group had the 2 years of high scope preschool, which was a play-based, relationship-based exploration sort of type preschool program. And then the others just did what they were going to do anyway. And they followed them through. And they found 28 years of age. Less likely, the children in other than having those 2 years of preschool, the sample was comparable. And the ones who had attended that 2 year of preschool were less likely to commit crimes, more likely to graduate from high school, more likely to attend higher education, less likely to be on social welfare. I mean, it was quite incredible just for those 2 years. And from that, they came up with the number of every dollar you invest in early childhood, you can expect a return of $7 in future savings, which is quite incredible. But one of the things that they say, just coming back to your question, that was a big part of the success of that program was that it was too generational in focus. So if you look at early childhood, what's the function of it? If it's simply an economic function, it's what you're talking about, which is somebody look after my child so I can enter the labor force. My child is safe, and then I come back and I pick my child up, and that's a pure economic function. And then you look at the educational function of early childhood, which is providing those rich learning experiences. But then if you look at the social function of early childhood, it's that parental engagement. It's that 2 generational support, because, you started off by saying, oh, someone who has 5 children is so experienced. Well, these early childhood teachers, even if they don't have formal education in early childhood, they've had way more than 5 children, right? Yeah. They have experience with lots of different children. They have something to share with parents that can really help. Parents have they're experts on their own child, and they have that unique information to share with their child's teacher, but the teachers also have a lot they could be sharing with parents, and it's not happening on a global scale like it could be.
Exactly. We're going to take a break. When we come back, there is no question where my passion lies. There is no question that sometimes some things inspire us even more than we realize, and unfortunately we say it with such an impassioned plea that it may be misconstrued. We even misrepresent or mispresent, or that's fine, as long as we're willing to own it and make it better. And as we return, hopefully our conversation will do just that for all of us. And again, because of what this weekend, at least in my mind, means to this society in terms of whatever word they want to call in, fellowship, but they're coming together. There are going to be a lot of people interacting. What is that interaction looking like? Hopefully this discussion helps to inform that. So the socioeconomic implications, and we'll talk about a couple of things. I'll ask you some more, and you'll keep me on the line. All right, be a part of the discussion. If you miss it, make a note. You can always go back to YouTube and listen to it again later. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
The Rotary Central Easter Hunt and Story Time is Saturday, April 8th. Children are about to have a marvelous Easter experience. The Rotary Central Easter Hunt and Story Time at the Rotary Schoolhouse, the Queen Elizabeth II Botanical Park in Frank Sound. 11 a.m. through 12:30 p.m. This exciting Easter event includes Eric the Magician, sing along with Miss Alea, face painting by Art for You Limited, refreshments, arts and crafts, prizes, goodie bags, lip smacking pizza, compliments of Domino's Pizza. This is a free Rotary event for children 10 years and under who must be accompanied by adults. Yes, Saturday, April 8th at the Botanical Park. Easter fun comes alive. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we are introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
If it's time for new appliances, hop on into the LG Appliance Easter Sale now on at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 15% off on LG appliances. Buy a 4-piece kitchen and you'll get a further 5% off. Yes, if you have older appliances that have seen better days, don't wait. Take advantage now of the LG Appliance Easter Sale. Hurry in. Sale ends Saturday, April 15th. Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Phone 623-5000.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome. And thanks very much to listen, and I trust that, as you hear my heart, you'll hopefully join alongside and see where we can make this community truly the wonderful place that it is, and even better. Thanks to Miss Nicola Williams, and thanks equally to Miss Reina Jefferson for joining us. And there's nothing wrong, I don't think. Again, both you chastise me, correct me, guide me, make sure, with someone in a very determined way making a point. I say that in thinking of what I believe is my perception of the scripture when Christ goes into the temple and has a few words with what's carrying on and say, I told you all about this before, if I see this again. He didn't go in there easy and nice and, afraid as they say. Miss Reina, he called us a scene, and that didn't happen again, right?
That's right.
And the reason why I say that is that we don't need to be afraid of what is right. We have to have the courage to stand up. In going into the break, I was thinking, and I was going to ask you as we return, the idea of how we teach our children and with the subjects. And I always thought that the subject of economics was probably one of the most beneficial, because what are those things that you referenced, the social, economic?
Yeah, economic and educational function. Yeah, because economics has a huge impact on the early childhood sector.
Yeah.
Well, because the whole reason it started was for women, most women, but parents, to enter the labor force. And then the problem is who pays for it, right? So if you're in the Scandinavian countries, they offer universally provided early childhood programs in the same way as most countries offer elementary and secondary. If a government doesn't pay for it, then it falls on the parents to pay. Well, for the lower, it's fine for the higher income families, but for the lower income families, if the cost of childcare is more than the usually mother can earn, then it's not quote unquote worth it for to go to work.
It's not beneficial. Right?
And so the economic response was, okay, well, let's underpay early childhood educators, right? Let's pay them minimum wage, and if we pay them minimum wage, then most people, it will be worth it for them to go. But what we didn't realize is how important the early years really are when this started, and how specialized a field is, and how important the job is, and that paying minimum wage and low remuneration and
Mm-hmm.
not ideal working conditions, long hours, because it has to be long hours, right? Because parents have to remember that they're dropping their child before they themselves get to work, and they're picking up their child after they themselves have left. So the early childhood teacher has been there for anywhere from half an hour to an hour.
Or as much as 4.
As much as 2 hour longer day. I mean, I know
Yeah.
they stagger shifts and so on to try and help with that, but
Yeah.
we need our caregivers to be appreciated for the importance of the job. So then the question is, who pays for it?
I want to ask something, not necessarily expecting or requiring a response from any of us here, but for us listening, to think about it. I'm reminded of a friend who told me of a saying that was attributed to somebody, and I don't remember who said it. A little learning is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
You know, we can Google it, and Google isn't really worth much, but you can go right ahead. And we don't know who said it, but it's not important as to who said it, as to what it means. It's not a little bit learning, it's a little knowledge, as some say. A little learning is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
So in the Cayman context, I wonder if we are rewarding mediocrity too easily and too quickly and too willingly and too often. And also in the Cayman context, as we look at the caregivers, whatever term we apply, and for whom we employ, whether it's for our elderly or our children, if we're not requiring the very best in terms of instruction, competence, compassion. But I also wonder, though, that if we look at the things that are happening now, are we cognizant of the socioeconomic implications? So the behaviors, if he doesn't mind, Dr. Frank speaks openly and publicly many times about the societal woes. To what extent the behavior of our young people today to those in their 40s and 50s who were probably the initial products of the caregivers of way back when, the absence of the parents in the home. I wonder if there's a connection, Ms. Reina.
There is.
There is? You said that definitively, ma'am.
Yeah, it's whatever we do for the very young children is going to make the biggest difference as they grow older and as we prepare our society to be a better place.
Okay.
And I'm also, like you said, Dr. Frank has always been a person that has seen, because he was as a sociologist, seen the many areas that we have a deficit when it comes to taking care of the youngest members of society. And what happens if they're not cared for lovingly, that we are not providing for them as far as even the food that they eat, or people that maybe they're just there, but are they really there?
Right.
That's taking care and watching over our children. So I think that we need to really harness in our, I think, as a very special kind of definition of what we really want our caregivers to be doing in the Cayman Islands. And remuneration is an important area because we all need to have money in order to survive.
But is that it there, Miss Nicola, that we always look, and if I have this incorrect, tell me now, because I've always had this perspective. There's economics on here, and then the accounting and financial costs, they're different. The economic costs are almost all-encompassing, and it includes more than the financial accounting costs. So the social cost, the opportunity cost. When we look into what Ms. Reina shared, are we failing to look at the cost? So I have permission to reference this. We did this for some friends, making a deliberate decision as to who would stay home with the child for a defined period, and whether it was beneficial for both of the partners to go back into the workplace. And they sat down, and X and Y was making this, tallied it up. They wanted to hire someone, this was the going rate, but if they wanted something extra, then they added it, and they did the analysis. And it came that in one instance, financially, it was a little bit better for both to work. In the other instance, without doing that exercise, they would not have recognized that it was actually costing more for the household to hire somebody to stay with the child. And when they factored in things like clothing for work, transportation for work, and all the other things was even more costly. And then when both groups, both households did analysis and they were asked questions, well, have you factored in this young person is now interacting and connecting with this other person that is not the biological parent? Can you assign a value to that? And those thoughts came into play. Now, this is the part I have permission to share. One of the households made a decision to stay. One of the households made a decision to go into work. I'm convinced that the decades in, thereabouts, you can see the impact on the child as to any guesses what the difference is, Ms. Nicola? You have a very informed insight. Tell me what you think.
Well, this is why early childhood is so complex, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, large group care, early childhood settings have huge compensatory value for young children, particularly those living with disadvantaged or stressful home environments. That's where the big compensatory value is. But then, young children can get high quality care in any circumstance, whether it's a mom in the home, a nanny in the home, a grandparent, an auntie, a nanny, or large group care. All can be high quality. All can give young children everything they need to thrive. All things being equal, though, a parent in the home with a child, all things being equal.
Yes.
Meaning the quality of care, every quality of care you're referring to in all those scenarios is as high as it can be. Parent in the home is, but that doesn't, it's definitely really, people don't choose necessarily nanny. I know some concerns that parents have expressed to me are, I'm out of the home all day and the nanny's home with the child, and they might be worried about exactly what the child is doing. With large group care, they feel like there's sort of more of a check and balance in place. There's a lot more going on, a lot more adults available. And then, of course, parents really like the social interaction. It's important to note, though, that low-quality large group care can have a detrimental impact on young children. So it's really about the quality in the environment. If all children can get quality care in whatever arrangement parents choose, the child will thrive. They can thrive in all these environments. I think large group care is very difficult to do well. It's a big challenge.
I'm glad you shared that, because I know many will hear me talk about economics, and it's not because it's an intellectual undertaking. It's because of just a sensible observation of the societal implications of classroom and academic instruction, but just your ordinary life. The one thing that we all do that we really appreciate that we're doing it is, choosing between this and this. Where are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? When are we going to do certain things? And recognizing that we can't do it all or all at the same time. So there's an opportunity cost. All things being equal in economics, ceteris paribus is the Latin, I think. To what extent, right, are we factoring those implications? So to the example, I just went back to make sure that I did have the explicit authority to reference it further. With both households' consent. They were as much almost equal in a sense in their decision making, and the extended family care is there for both and the like. But the only variable, right, that was so distinct was the parent being present, the biological parent, and the parent being absent. So there's extended family, all in observations and appearances. They attend church and youth group and all the other things that you think would be healthy for that young child. But the impact of that one introduced variable, right? Now doesn't mean that that's the be all and end all, but it made me consider how important it is that from the socio-economic implications and the public policy perspective, what are we doing? I wrote down Nordic countries. Is that the same as the Scandinavian?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to maybe ask about that, because we talk about it a lot. We saw what Norway in the early 80s did with their transformation in education.
And Finland.
And Finland, right? Yeah. And look at that and ask ourselves, 40 years later, are we doing anything better? Are we holding ourselves accountable? Are we demanding more? Can we talk about it after the break, Ms. Nicola?
Yes.
All right. She's on the other side of the table. She's back. That's Miss Susan Boy. She has a timer and switch. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, Leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Have you written a book or a song? Created a unique logo, software program, or invention? Do you want to protect your creation so that you can be recognized for it and maybe benefit financially? Visit the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office website at ciipo.ky for more information on how to register your invention or creation. That's ciipo.ky. Wednesday, April 26th is World Intellectual Property Day. It's your innovation, your creation, and your intellectual property. Protect it today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome. The phone lines are open and you can call and you can say, listen man, I got bigger fish to fry because it's Easter and you plan to go back us or East End. That's fine. Or you want to ask a question, be a part of a discussion, or if it's just too much for you, too deep, too soon because you're in a frame of mind of wanting to relax and unwind, that's fine. Just make a note and go back and watch this on YouTube later on. If you're going to technology, let's leverage it and use it for something productive and stop looking at some of the dumb things that I see are being shared by someone else in position. But that's just another day for another time. Miss Reina Jefferson, together with Miss Nicola Williams. Miss Nicola is the current president of the Cayman Early Childhood Association. Miss Reina, I think one of the, okay if I call you visionary, pioneer, early childhood, the founder, the champion. Would that be all right?
I just want to say that I wanted to do what I have done, which is I have wanted to be a teacher for the youngest children. Mm-hmm. That was my main desire. Mm-hmm. Once I returned from New York City and had finished my college education, I asked for specifically, may I have the youngest children in the school? And it's because I know the value of early childhood education.
So, can I then ask, and if it's not evident to most people, when I look at the women in our society, from my mother, my sisters, and all the like, I see strength, I see integrity, I see this unending, untiring effort and endeavor to empower and to ensure that our people have the very best. And when I hear stories of being reminded firsthand that while the husbands, the fathers, and the sons, and the brothers and uncles were at sea, sadly, some of them didn't return. Right? Their female counterparts were as valiant, and that's what makes our society so strong. So when I'm in the presence of the two ladies prior and the two of you, I want to be even more positive, right? Because I'm inspired. And then the little statue in town, because it's only like 2 inches square, it should be 2 billion cubic feet. It will still wouldn't be big enough.
Yeah.
It reminds us of what our society is and the strength. But for some reason, we're not there yet. We're getting there. In saying that, I come back to the socioeconomic implications. And there's a word I used to use long ago. Mr. Edward has now picked it up a few times. Interdependence, not independent, interdependence. I believe, and my Chinese isn't very good. In fact, it's almost non-existent. Maybe don't know what I know. The Chinese president or his appointed spokesperson makes a comment just recently of the growing interdependence in economies, and so that word should tell us, like in academics, the interdisciplinary approach. Ms. Nicola, you reference the need for our children to be instructed, to be nurtured, and for us to look and say, well, is it touching all of these, the economic, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual?
Well, I mean, back even to women, it again highlights that one of the most salient indicators of quality or aspects of quality is the caregiver, whoever that may be, sense of well-being. And so that comes in many ways. Like if you look at the women's liberation movement, women were fighting, or the movement was for choice. So women could choose whether they wanted to enter the workforce or stay home with their child. So it was all about choice. And the most important thing any society can do for that, and everyone, whether you work full time or whether you stay home, you can still be an amazing parent to your child, the best parent you can be. One thing that's really important is the caregiver's sense of well-being, which is why society can step up, because to be honest, women represent half the talent pool of any society. There's men and there's women, or at least or maybe say mothers. And so you want them to be able to access the workforce if they want to, and if they want to stay home, you want to be able to support them in that. And so what's most important way to support them is to make sure that they have access to high quality care for their children while they work. And high quality care is expensive. And then the question is it paid for by parents? Is it paid by government? Is it paid by the private sector? Is it paid by a combination of the three? In my opinion, I think early childhood is everybody's responsibility, more so than any other stage of education. And it's everyone's business because it impacts everyone, because it's such an important opportunity to create this better future society. So, and then it comes back to the caregivers in early childhood centers. If they're making minimum wage and their work day is very long, their working conditions, they're stressed. Or a mom at home who's facing challenges and low income and that kind of thing, it presents stressors for them that we want to, as a society, we want to give them the support that they need and deserve, because then they have more resources to feel better. And then, every mom wants to play peekaboo with their baby. We know how good that is.
And dads too.
Yeah, and dads, sorry. Yes, I keep saying moms only. Yeah,
kidding.
And dads too. Every parent wants to, but if you're stressed, you're stressed and it's tougher.
But is it then, and I keep coming back, and it's part of the reason why I'm saying to more of us, Mark Roach, as a former finance minister, will talk about economics. And I said then, as I said prior, as I always say, the teaching and studying of economics goes beyond what we may see as the quantitative. There's a qualitative aspect. The emerging field of neuroeconomics now, and the way we look at human behavior in terms of not just purchasing, but decision making. And this notion that we got to pigeonhole things, we got to assign labels. The young child who early on seems to be pretty smart, and we say, oh, that's a gifted child. Talented and gifted programs have to be. And if we were to be honest with our observations in society, take little Johnny, who initially, judging by his parents and everything, Miss Reina, forgive me for using the term, dumb as a post. He's dumb as a post because he's never been nurtured and developed. But if you put him in an environment, you teach him, you instruct him. Let's use football. He has no coordination skills. He can't play. You give him a football and he looks at it and licks it because he doesn't know that he's supposed to kick it and bounce it and whichever, right? But you teach him, and he may not become the Pele, but he'll become better. He'll become more confident. He'll be professional. He'll be able to enjoy the game, maybe socially. He may never be the next Pele, but he'll be better. So with the football or the basketball or the math, if you nurture, if you develop, if you provide that opportunity, little Johnny that we say was dumb as a post is now potential and aspiring Nobel laureate.
And
Right?
that's so important, because this is what our education system, I mean, it started in the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
The idea was obedience and conformity and one size fits all. And what that lacks is being responsive. In my opinion, the perfect education system helps each child find where their passions meet their interests, meet their talents.
Yeah.
And we're only focusing on certain things as indicators of success. And as a result, you know, really, there's a way too big a percent. No child should leave. I don't see how it's in the society's best interest for a single child to leave our education system feeling like a failure, going out into life in that way. And, you know, people will say to me, "Oh, Nicola, I bet you think that when there's a race, everyone should get a medal." And I said, no, I don't think that. Because if every child gets a medal, the children are well aware of who was fastest and who wasn't. It doesn't mean anything to them. But how about taking the time to find out what each child actually is good at and what they're interested in, what they care about, and celebrate that?
So why do we do that? Why do we?
I don't know.
There's
we do it to us, like, but not enough.
No.
No.
What's the comedian guy? He did the best tribute to Muhammad Ali, Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
He did a movie with Bette Midler, and what's that called? And he got up and the little child was running around, did a kabuki theater, and he said, I remember doing a break. And the reason why I said that is that it speaks to your point. Oh, everybody gets a medal for just showing up. You get 100 points for putting your name on the paper. Well, if you don't put your name on the paper, how am I going to know that it was your test? I mean, I want to give you the 100% that you earned, but was it Johnny or Susie? There's no name. What's wrong with us? Why is it that we can't say, you know what, hey, good effort, but over here, Susie beat you, Bobo. She came in first. You know, next time.
And it's okay, too, to be, I try and play the piano. I'm not like Miss Reina. I'm terrible. But do you have to be good at something to enjoy it? Because at the end of the day, it's just a lifelong...
Right.
Sports are another thing. Everyone wants their child to be Tiger Woods or whatever. In Canada, it's hockey. Everyone wants their child to be Sidney Crosby. Get out there, you're going to be... And does the child really want to be Sidney Crosby? Did anyone ask the child? And I think it's important to send a message to children that you can enjoy something even if you're not excellent at it.
Yeah.
And me with piano is a perfect example. I love there. My family's like, aren't there headphones?
Oh, you have those too.
But it's even when I taught kindergarten in the Turks and Caicos Islands way back in the beginning of my career, I was told I had to pick Star of the Week. And so all the teachers, they'd pick a child and say, here, you've got the Literacy Award or Most Improved or whatever. And I thought, I don't want to do that. It's so teacher controlled. And so I told all the children we're going in alphabetical order. First, it's Billy Adams, and all of us are going to watch him.
He never got it.
But whatever his name is, I'm trying to pick an A. I'm trying to pick an A there. Adams. Adam. And I said to the children, everybody watch him all week, everyone. And then on Thursday, I sat down with each child and said, why do you think Billy's a star?
Yeah.
And they told me, and I didn't let them just say, he's nice. You know, they had to tell me something specific, and I wrote it down. Billy is a star because, and then each child's name and what they said about him. And the parents, like, framed some of them.
Yeah.
And what a good exercise to hear from his peers or her peers why they think he's great. One of them was because he helped George get his head stuck out of the swing or something. It was one
Which is good.
It's great, right? It's helping, it's caring. Yeah.
All right. And I thank you, sir. We can expound that further. Certainly want you all to share more with us. And the idea of training and development that we need in the in-service days and the like. You know what? By the end of this day, let me hold that comment. Join us after the break. I might just say it. Who knows? Stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service announces the occurrence of 2 separate drug seizures and associated arrests. These 2 recent matters occurred at the Owen Roberts International Airport on Friday, March 31st, and on Sunday, April 2nd. Both matters involve significant quantities of ganja, mushrooms, THC-infused gummies, and THC vape cartridges. In international news, 3 Democratic lawmakers in the state of Tennessee face a rare expulsion vote for participating in gun control protests after the deadly Nashville school shooting. Hundreds had marched to the Tennessee state capitol last week, calling for stricter gun laws. Tennessee Republicans have accused the protesters and the Democratic House members of disruption. 6 people, including 3 children, were killed in the March 27th shooting. On Thursday, the Tennessee House of Representatives will vote on a resolution filed by the Republican leadership to expel the 3 Democrats from their seats in the state legislature for disorderly behavior. Canada is repatriating 4 women and 10 children who have been held at least 3 years in Islamic State camps in northeastern Syria. The federal government agreed in January to bring back a group of women and children, but pushed back on repatriating 4 imprisoned men. Canada said it is taking steps to return the group due to deteriorating conditions in the camps. It has shared few other details about the repatriation. These are your latest headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Creative fashion and design. For all of your prom dresses and other formals, they are your one-stop shop. They specialize in tailoring, dressmaking, alterations, bridal, and tuxedo rentals. They also offer beginners and advanced sewing classes. Come visit them at Unit 8, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road, or call them at 949-0034 or email designfashion03@yahoo.com and make an appointment with one of their creative designers or register for one of their classes. Creative Fashion and Design, where quality fabric meets innovative designs.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks so much for this continuing privilege to be able to sit and facilitate. I learned so much from every day from all of our guests, to Miss Reina and to Miss Nicola. Thank you both for taking time out for sharing with us. And I'm hopeful that as people listening, that the topic doesn't cause them to feel uncomfortable, that they tune out. It's that it's not so deep that they say, well, let me table that for a second. If they do, they come back. But I'm very prayerful that we would refer to this, understand the importance of early childhood instruction, education, the investment. And over this weekend, we've got 4 days, Bobo. We can do a lot of thinking and talking, eat a lot of fish tea if you want. I mean, I got a taste of some fried fish and fritters, but just putting it out there. But Ms. Reina, what do we say as we continue the discussion to our parents, with greatest respect, first and foremost, and to our politicians and the general public when we look at our young children? And I had the distinct pleasure of accepting an invitation just recently to walk among some young students. And you know what was noticeable? There was an absence of anything negative. The children didn't see color. They didn't see nationality. They laughed and they bounced and they got along, and there was none of this other stuff that we adults seem to get caught up in. And that was so beautiful. And then I said to somebody, "Oh, you're naive." I said, "Well, maybe, but look at the honesty.
Yeah.
Look at them laughing at the simplest things, and they're getting the greatest joy."
Yeah.
Now, something happens between that age and, well, the age of Susan.
Well, what I'd like to share with you is that it's been a pleasure for me to serve as a teacher. I really have enjoyed the 50 years that I have been a teacher, and I see people, young people, that have come behind me, and they'll compliment me, or they'll thank me, or they'll, remember when I was in your class, Miss Reina, or Ms. Jefferson, because I've been around many, many schools. But that in itself is, to me, one of the most important things that former students can give to me as a gift. You are my teacher. And I would like to really challenge those who have not had the opportunity of really having wonderful teachers and guidance, and maybe they've got discouraged or whatever. I'd like to just, shout out for my colleagues who are teachers and who are doing well as far as our young children, especially our youngest children, and in training them up to do what is right, what is good, what is lovely, and to ensure that they have a wonderful life, and that our society in general then becomes better.
Mr. Clay, if I might through you ask, we who have been fortunate to either travel ourselves or vicariously, like me, through my father who saw the world many times over, and the seafarers of the day like him, those like you who have worked in your own home country, other jurisdictions, and we see the Cayman that is now. I would posit that all of us have this deliberate desire to ensure that the Cayman continues to be very safe, our personal safety and security, that it is civil in terms of our interactions, that it is stable politically, economically, but socially. I'm also mindful that through my friends who are not originally from here, that they've allowed me to do two things: see the beauty that is in Cayman through their lens, and to be reminded of why I love this place so much, because they say, do you realize you have this and this and this? But it also made me cognizant that many of us, and to those who will say, well, we're a generational Caymanian, or we've been here for many, many decades, many of us take it for granted. We take the safety that we can be at a restaurant and not be robbed. We're on the beaches and not be accosted or kidnapped. There's so much, and then we accept, well, that's the price of progress. You're going to get these little petty crimes, and we're still safe, relatively safe. I don't want that. I want it to be the very best. If I might respectfully ask you, as we look at the instruction of our young, we train up a child and he should go when he's old, and we know all the scriptures, repeat them, we actually might even take them on board, but we're doing very little or not enough. What can we do? And is this something that we should expect, like a souffle, 30 minutes later you pay attention to it, we can enjoy it? Or is it like the turtles in a way, slow and low and slow? Is it overnight success? Will we see it in our lifetimes? What can we do, and when can we expect?
Well, again, if you look at the large body of research, investment in early childhood is the best way to have a healthier, safer, happier future society, right? So, but then the question is, well, what kind of early childhood? Yeah. And the biggest thing that amazes me about early childhood, and it's pretty much on varying degrees around the world, is this schoolification idea that people are hanging on to, educators in particular, are hanging on to this idea that earlier is better with academics. And what we've learned from the research is that it's quite simple. If you in the first 5 years, it's much easier to teach or to promote social and emotional than it is to try and do it later. And academics are the opposite. It's much easier to teach later, the academics, and much more difficult and stressful for the child to teach earlier. why we're doing it. It's like we're putting the cart before the horse, and then we're wondering why it's not going where we want. And by the time these children get into, reception or year one, they're burnt out, and they've missed all these valuable opportunities to interact and play and explore and gain a conceptual understanding of their physical and social world as the foundation for them to then build the academic skills on. But if they don't have that foundation and that sense of well-being and those social and emotional skills, if you go into a preschool, the most predictive qualities you'll see amongst children for academic success are sociability, self-regulation, the ability to control their emotions, and verbal intelligence. And yet in academic programs, ask young children, what does it take to be good in school? They'll say, be quiet. How are they supposed to gain that verbal intelligence, and how are they supposed to gain that autonomy and self-regulation if they're constantly being controlled by adults? We adults need to intentionally prepare a stimulating environment and then support the children within that. When I was trying to train my teachers of the past in preschools I've had, I say, we're not teaching them what to learn. Content comes later. Right now we're teaching them how to learn and instilling a love of learning. They love learning.
Lifelong learning, right?
And they love it. They love learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
But are we then almost, we ask our teachers, whether we are policymakers or parents, to develop critical thinkers. My understanding of that is that the child looks at something, asks a question, and verifies it, and asks again, and analyzes and comments, and it's a continuing sort of process.
Yeah.
But yet when a child does that, maybe too talkative, too disruptive, perhaps the child is no longer 13 but 31 and is questioning something. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. The child is now 60. But isn't that not what's happening?
It's so important. And, I think about, children are natural young scientists, right? They explore and they experiment, and then they build their theories of their social and physical world and revise them over time with new experiences. And yet adults are sort of putting flashcards and workbooks in their face, and they're sort of thinking, I have all this to figure out, and this workbook is very abstract, and isolated. Children are very authentic. They learn about everything in context. It was really funny when my son was he's 23 now, but when he was about 3 years old, my husband and I were visiting my grandmother in Toronto, and we got onto an elevator, and my son was there. I don't know, he was 2 or 3 or something, and my husband and I were standing there, and another child about my son's age came onto the elevator and started going 1, 2, 3 and counting all the elevator buttons. And my husband's watching, and then he looks down at my son, and my son is sort of crouched down and jumping up and down in the elevator. And my husband looked at me and said, you better be right about all this stuff, because this isn't looking good. And I said, yeah, but when you asked, I showed my husband, I said, ask my son what he was doing, and he was actually trying to figure out if he jumped, would he still go down the elevator, which is actually, it's a hypothesis, it's testing a hypothesis. He's being a little scientist, right? He's asking questions, he's curious, but we're so focused on these pre-academic skills that we're missing all this other conceptual type knowledge, the social, the emotional, the perspective taking, the empathy. And they're primed to learn that when they're little. And if we give that gift to them, it will help. That's what they need to get through and to achieve to their full potential.
I think we've missed the boat. We've said a lot of things publicly, but perhaps we're not prepared to exhibit the confidence and the courage to do these things. I think we have the final break, Miss Susan. Talk about anything else. Got a couple of questions asked, but I was also thinking of the school day. I saw a study, must be in excess of 10 years now, might even be longer, not as young as I look, that talked about maybe how the school day should be structured. Is it that the older high school, middle school child should start a little bit later, and then the younger child starts a little bit earlier? And what's the impact of that? Now we can see staggered traffic times and the like, and the benefits of congestion, but also the consequences of parental engagement and work and balance and scheduling. But there's so much at play when we were to strongly and consciously consider the early childhood education. See how the economics come into play? See, I'll weave it into
it. Always does.
Always does. All right, join us after the break. There will not be a test. Okay? Promise you. No test, not even open book. Join us after the break.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Ro Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Ro Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
Ensuring your walls, ceilings, and floors are properly sealed against air leaks is an important step in lowering your monthly energy bills. Even small gaps around windows, under doors, or around lighting and plumbing fixtures can add up to as much air loss as having an open window.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Costyless, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
Tune in on Saturday evening at 8 o'clock for your Yesteryear Musicals Easter edition. Your Yesteryear Musicals Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks and the wonderful music of yesteryear, from the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brack and Little Cayman. That's Saturday at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, your Yesteryear Musicals Easter edition. Join us.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thank you all for listening and joining us. And thanks to Miss Reina and Miss Nicola for helping us to truly appreciate the value and importance of education, but in particular, early childhood. Before we close out, I'm going to ask, well, what does that mean? Is there an age group? We've alluded to it in many of our discussions, but let's take this caller and welcome. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, my friend. Good afternoon. How are you?
Okay, and good afternoon to Miss Reina and the other lady there.
Miss Nicola Williams. Yes, sir. She's the president of the Cayman Islands Early Childhood Association, the current president.
Yeah, good afternoon to Miss Nicola too.
Good afternoon.
Yes, well, when it comes to Christmas time, and parents buy the children gifts Do you think it's right for the parents to tell the children that Santa Claus bought it for them, or do you think it's better for the parents to tell the children that they bought it for them?
That's a big question.
Well, man, okay.
Yeah.
You want to answer that first? I mean, you asked the question. We certainly will be, but what's your thought?
Well, I don't think it's right.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's a lie.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you spell Santa, and if you turn those letters around, you get Satan. And we know he's the biggest liar of all. And as they say, a liar is worse than a thief. So, we might not realize it, but it's actually telling our children lies.
You raise a point that maybe could be the premise of an extent discussion later on in terms of what we say to our children, when we say it, how we say it, and the implications and consequences of what we say. Hey, thanks very much, all right? Have a blessed Easter, my friend. No, but as I listen, and you can choose if you want, but the caller makes a point in that what is the impetus, the motivation for what we're saying, and for some, that simple question, that's all child's play, is nothing. For some of us, we consciously say to the child, for whatever reason, religious or otherwise, listen, bro, those gifts, we work hard for that, we buy it.
Yeah.
Others might, Miss Reina, I mean.
Well, the thing is, I think that our conversations, especially in the early years, words are very powerful.
Uh-huh.
And as a child, a young Caymanian child, I didn't know anything about Santa Claus, for example.
Or Santa Claus, if you ask me.
And and so the question about asking or telling about fictional characters is exactly that. We should be able to, as adults, tell children what exactly, who exactly will, help them to enjoy their Christmas time or whatever. I mean, I'm just speaking as far as I don't think we need to elaborate, but at the same time, I think that we also have parents who want to just make their children happy, and it's a seasonal thing. So,
but again, cost and consequence, and that question to some, they would have dismissed it right away, or he's whatever. But for others, they'll reflect on it, and I think be guided by Miss Reina's wisdom as to what is it. It's not unlike Halloween, right? For me, from the analysis perspective, very early on, as a child, I thought, well, your parents say you'll eat so much candy, it rot in your teeth and make you sick. You go to the dentist and you don't get candy, but even if they finish to give you a lollipop, that's another story. And yet on this one day, you're allowed to consume more candy than you will probably weigh, that you don't need candy for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense to me from a logical perspective. You get it on to the religious implications. But again, analysis, dialogue, communication, conversation, right?
Yeah, I mean, even with Santa too. I mean, I think Santa Claus. I mean, there are religions that don't celebrate Christmas as well. So, because you think about the child going to school, and then that's always been an issue. Don't believing in Santa kind of thing, right? I mean, you could present it to your child as, and I've heard people express the same sort of sentiment as our caller. Even saying that Santa Claus is an idea, an inspiration of giving. Maybe you could go that way. That Santa Claus is an idea. An inspiration. I mean, children understand. I think honesty with young children, but also, the key with young children is being responsive. Like I always say to parents, give them just as much help as they need, and as they ask for.
Yeah,
they're very capable for asking of asking questions and asking for help. And if parents sometimes answer questions that the children are not capable of answering or asking, if they can't ask the question, then we have to think carefully.
Yeah.
And there'll be times where yes, you should be, or it's a good idea to present them with information. But the key is if they ask a question, is to just think of the most honest answer. And it's your child too, right? As a parent. And so you know best, like about your child and how you want to present sort of the world to them.
Well, my sister Mitzi always said, you can't be a lazy parent. You got to be involved. You got to remember you're the parent. And a no is as good or something better than a yes. You just need to be there. I'm really encouraged and inspired about today, but especially with what you were sharing. I know this program is just almost over. Can I read something that's directed to Miss Reina? Is it okay? So, the blessed good afternoon to you and your very special guest, Miss Reina Jefferson. Let me put on my glasses. Well, Miss Susan. I mean, I can see it without it, but I see it better with it. My loving and caring favorite teacher, thank you for helping me to get over my fear/crying on my first day in a few weeks of primary school. I miss Mama Gwendolyn so much, but she assured me that she would not be too far away, and has said and promised she got a job next door to the Westbury Primary School. And she also assured me that you would take care of me, and I remember you making me sit by you at your desk, and this gave me more confidence and assistance, and all would be well. I will always remember, and I cannot thank you and my mother enough. So yes, much love and God's continuous blessings to you, my dearest Mrs. Jefferson.
Well, thank you. I think I know who that person is. I think I can remember her name, but I won't say it over the radio.
Okay, well,
thank you so much.
I'm so glad that person wrote that. Just to read it. And this is what an educator is in life. Exactly. I remember many of my teachers. I remember Mrs. Brownfield. I remember Mrs. Brownfield. And even though you may not see your teacher daily, you probably teach about them almost continually. Yeah. And that hopefully would allow us to reflect as parents and educators, and as those people who, help to develop policy or provide funding, that we ask, why are we doing it? What is it that we're trying to achieve? My last question to you, and you can answer now or later, you can answer publicly or privately. There's a calling I think many of us have to answer, many of us try to run away from. But as educators, some of us are alleged said we're just there for the pay, for the vacation. There's not a calling, it's just a job. If there is someone in education now, in whatever capacity, of giving and caring and nurturing and instructing their children, and they don't feel that thing, should they leave? Should they stay? Can they find that thing? I try to be careful how I ask that question.
Again, it's an interesting thing, because part of it is feeling valued, and I think if our society, or not our, meaning our global society, because early childhood teachers and practitioners are undervalued, underpaid. There's this dominant viewpoint, and they feel it. And so, look at Miss Reina there. If you ask people, who's your favorite teacher and why, they'll say because they cared, because they came to us from a position of support. They were passionate, like Miss Reina, and I'm not surprised that. And I'm sure that your phone could be clogged with calls from Miss Reina's former students, and that's what matters. And so, in teacher education programs, we need to instill that in the young in the young developing teacher, but also on a societal level, we need to value teaching. It's, and certainly, teachers of older children. I mean, in a lot of countries, when a child turns from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, their teacher's salary more than doubles, sometimes triples. What are we saying about a 3-year-old compared to a 5-year-old? And this is on a global level. It's pretty much, in varying degrees, up to doubling, tripling their teacher's salary. So what are we saying about the value of the job in early childhood and about younger children?
There's also a corresponding thought in my mind, but I'll believe it's wise to share it privately and then develop it so that when I do say it publicly, it'll have meaning. But it resonates with the question that I asked, because there are many of us who do something because we have a need to do something to earn an income. We feel that it's productive to be engaged in a way. But if you're a teacher or in a health services sector, a caregiver of sort, if you don't feel that thing resonating within you, we call it a calling, it's not just a career, then despite the lack of financial reward, the other sacrifices that you have to make and all the other challenges, when you feel that thing, that inspires you to get up every day and do your best job. And I wonder to what extent many of us, whatever that job is that we're doing, I just put it loose, are we feeling that thing that inspires us? Are we going there because we want to be of value?
But what amazes me is how many preschools I've been here in the Cayman Islands, but also in other countries around the world, that even though these teachers early childhood teachers are making minimum wage, they are passionate and they care and they know the children. They do it for the children.
Yep.
Like they really do. But that doesn't mean society can't send them another message. But how much they care and how devoted they are to the children and how well they know the children has always just amazed and inspired me. And even talking about the association, the first time I went about, 7 years ago, I think it was, into the meeting on a Saturday morning, and I know how hard all these teachers work, and there they all are. The room was full. There were like 45, 50 early childhood teachers who have worked a long, hard week there because they want to do better for the young children they care for. And I was just so inspired. And this is what Miss Reina has created with this association, and this is what we need to elevate that status and to give them the recognition they deserve for the job that they do and how devoted they are. You know?
Well, you both have accepted the invitation, and I'm prayerful that we have continued discussions similar to this that may inspire us as a general populace, but in particular parents, and if they will allow me to say politicians / policymaker, because if we don't see the value of this thing, and that child who's 3 isn't going to be positively impacted, that we can measure it until they may be 33, but we will see the negative consequences in 3 months or in 3 days. So the positive may take a bit longer. We need to have that patience and that pension to invest so that we see the benefit. Maybe our discussions later on, my comment just then hopefully wasn't said in a way that is confusing, but I'm asking us, are we answering the calling, or are we just pursuing a career? Are we, when we're there, despite the financial woes and the challenges and stresses and the pressures that we're feeling, are we doing the job because it's more to us than a paycheck, irrespective of what that is? And hopefully that may click with somebody. Right, Ms. Reina?
Right, we need to have a discussion on it.
There you go. Well, may I invite you both and everyone listening to a very safe and blessed, enjoyable Easter. Get some fried fish and fritters, enjoy the fish tea, be loving and kind, with our families, and let's reflect on where we live and what we're doing. I've been honored to be given a few days off next week.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Oh man, I am thankful for that. I have a thought of us to what I may pursue, but sometimes the heart does not allow the soul to go where the brain dictates otherwise. But let me see. Ladies, thank you both very much.
It's been a pleasure.
It has.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Well, tomorrow's Friday. It's Good Friday, so be blessed. Monday is Monday, but it's Easter Monday, so there'll be no for the record, no talk today. But you can still tune into YouTube, and if you missed today's discussion, maybe one a few times, I'll say go back and listen to it. Because our first discussion was the wonderful Miss Briana, and these wonderful, excellent, truly passionate professionals when it comes to public education. So thanks to Miss Reina and to Miss Nicola.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Appreciate
Susan,
it so much.
you play the music, entertain the soul, and maybe it'll cause us to be better. Until Tuesday, when you join Miss Kathy for Tuesday, Wednesday, Ray, Thursday, and Friday of next week, I'll be sailing, I'll be swimming, I'll be singing. Who knows what else I'll be doing. See you the week following. God bless.
More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture. Tap into your roots. More Than Words bookstore in the Thompson Building. Supplies local books, gifts, trinkets, keepsakes, wall plaques, and journals. The hub for local authors. More Than Words. So much more. More Than Words is now open. Shop number 4, 2nd floor, Thompson Building. Or call 936-5544.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
26 years.
3 beloved isles.
1 beloved station, Radio Cayman.
The voice.
The heart.
The soul of the Cayman Islands.